The fact that you're here, right now, tells me something about where you are in your life. You wouldn't be watching this if some part of you didn't already know. You're standing at the edge of something massive, something that's about to change everything. There's this strange electricity running through your days lately, like you're holding your breath, waiting for something you can't quite name. Everything looks the same on the surface, but underneath, it's like the tectonic plates of your life are shifting. And maybe you've been telling yourself you're just anxious, or restless, or going through a phase. But what if that electricity isn't anxiety at all? What if it's your soul recognizing that you're about to step into exactly who you were always meant to become? What if this feeling isn't something to fix, but something to trust? You wake up in the morning, and for just a second, before your mind catches up, you feel it, this knowing that your current life doesn't fit anymore. It's like wearing clothes that are suddenly 2 sizes too small. You go through your routine, the same coffee, the same commute, the same conversations. But it all feels like you're playing a role in someone else's movie. And that's not depression talking. That's clarity arriving. Maybe you're sitting in meetings, and while everyone's discussing quarterly goals, there's this voice inside whispering, "None of this matters anymore." Or you're with friends, and they're talking about the same things they always talk about, and you're nodding along, but inside you're thinking, "I can't do this much longer." You're not losing your mind, you're finding it. Even your body knows something's shifting. Maybe you can't sit still like you used to. Or you're exhausted, but somehow also restless. You find yourself standing at windows, staring at nothing, feeling like you're waiting for a signal that hasn't come yet. It's like you're standing at the edge of a cliff. And I don't mean that in some dramatic, scary way. I mean, you've climbed this whole mountain. Your entire life up until now has been this climb. All the lessons, all the growth, all the pain and beauty, it's all brought you to this exact edge. And now you're here, looking out at open sky, knowing that the only way forward is to leap. But here's what nobody tells you about standing at the edge. It's supposed to feel impossible. Your entire system is designed to keep you safe, to pull you back from edges. So when every cell in your body is screaming danger, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's a sign you're doing something real. You know what the edge feels like? It's when you're in the shower and suddenly you can feel your whole life wanting to reorganize itself. The water's running over you and you can almost see it, this other version of you that's trying to emerge. But then you turn off the water, get dressed, and push it down. Tell yourself to be practical, to be grateful for what you have. But that version of you that appears in those unguarded moments, that's not fantasy. That's prophecy. That's your soul showing you what's already in motion. Because here's what's actually happening. You're not creating change. You're finally aligning with change that's been building in you for years. And maybe you've been getting signs, little synchronicities that feel too specific to be coincidence. Songs that play at exactly the right moment. Conversations where strangers say exactly what you needed to hear. Books that fall off shelves. Numbers that keep appearing. It's like reality itself is breadcrumbing you towards something. Because it is. You're not imagining this. When you're this close to the edge, reality itself starts to respond differently to you. The membrane between what is and what could be gets thinner. You become magnetic to exactly what you need for the leap. But perhaps the hardest part is that you can't explain this to anyone. You try to tell people you feel like something huge is about to happen, and they look at you with concern. They ask if you're okay. They suggest maybe you need a vacation or therapy or to stop overthinking. And so you learn to keep quiet about the earthquake happening inside you. Of course, they can't see it. They're not standing where you're standing. The edge is a solitary place, not because you're alone in the universe, but because this particular transformation has your name on it. Nobody else can make this leap for you. Nobody else can even see the cliff you're standing on. To them, you're standing on solid ground. Only you can feel how close you are to flight. Some days you try to back away from the edge. You throw yourself into normal life. You make plans for next year. You pretend the calling isn't there, but it's like trying to unpop a balloon. Once you've expanded to this size, there's no comfortable way to shrink back down. Everything you used to care about feels hollow now. That hollowness, that's not emptiness, it's space. Space for what's coming. You're not losing your passion for life. You're losing your passion for a life that was never fully yours. Your soul is creating room for something so much truer, so much more alive, that your current life has to feel empty by comparison. Otherwise, you'd never let it go. So you're standing at this edge, feeling the call to leap, and something starts to shift in how you move through your days. You'll find yourself saying no to things that don't feel aligned anymore. Not dramatically, just quietly declining what doesn't resonate. And you won't even have to think about it. Your body will just know. You'll start having these moments where you catch yourself being radically honest. Maybe someone asks how you are, and instead of saying fine, you hear yourself saying, I'm in the middle of something I can't explain, but I know it's important. And the right people, they'll nod like they understand, even if they don't. This is when you'll notice you're being given exactly what you need. The right book finds you. The perfect person appears with the perfect message. The opportunity you couldn't have imagined shows up. Not because you're searching, but because when you're this close to the edge, you become a magnet for your own transformation. Say you're at work and someone's complaining about something that used to trigger you, that used to pull you into hours of mental loops. But now, you just observe it, like weather passing through. You're not checked out, you're just elsewhere. Your energy is gathered at the edge, preparing for what's coming. Because here's the deeper truth about massive change. It doesn't happen in the leap. It happens in this moment, standing at the edge when you stop negotiating with your truth. The leap is just the physical expression of a choice that's already been made in dimensions you can't see yet. I remember my own edge. I stood there for months, maybe years, feeling like I was losing my mind. Everything I'd built felt like a costume I couldn't take off. I'd wake up in the quiet hours before dawn with this pressure in my chest, like my soul was literally trying to break out of my body. And the day I finally leaped, it wasn't dramatic. It was just the next obvious thing, like breathing after holding your breath too long. You might be wondering how you'll know when it's time, when to actually leap versus when to wait. But that's the thing about the edge. You don't leap when you're ready. You leap when staying becomes more impossible than jumping. And you're getting close to that moment. You can feel it. The edge teaches you something profound, that safety is an illusion anyway. That the solid ground you've been standing on was always just frozen motion. Everything is always changing. You're just finally awake enough to feel it, brave enough to move with it instead of against it. And through all of this, please know, you're not crazy. You're not having a midlife crisis. You're not being ungrateful or unrealistic, or any of the things your fear might be telling you. You're simply becoming who you always were underneath all the conditioning, all the compromise, all the playing small. This is what it feels like when a soul remembers why it came here. And here's what nobody tells you about the leap. It's already happening. You think you're standing still at the edge, but you're already in motion. Every cell in your body is already reorganizing. Every thought is already shifting. Every relationship is already transforming. The leap isn't something you do, it's something you allow, something you stop resisting. The cliff was never about falling. It was about discovering you have wings. You're standing in this new life, and it's simpler than you imagined, but also more real. You wake up and your first thought isn't dread, it's curiosity about what wants to unfold today. You move through the world with this quiet confidence, not because everything's perfect, but because you're finally living as yourself. The anxiety that used to run in the background, it's gone. Not because life got easier, but because you're not fighting yourself anymore. You make decisions quickly, clearly, from a place you trust. You say what you mean. You do what feels true. You've stopped apologizing for who you are. And the people around you, some fade away, but others step forward, and new ones appear. People who recognize you, the real you, because you're finally showing up as that person. Opportunities align that make so much sense you wonder why you ever did anything else. This change that's coming, it's been orchestrated by something much bigger than your mind. Every experience you've had, every lesson you've learned, every moment of pain and beauty, it's all been preparing you for this leap. You were always going to arrive at this edge. This was always the plan. And the fact that you found this message right now when you're standing at your edge, that's confirmation. You're seeing clearly. This is real. It's time. If you're standing at your own edge right now, if you can feel that massive change building in your bones, type "I'm ready to leap" in the comments. Not because I need to know, but because you need to declare it. You need to feel those words move through you. And you need to know you're not standing at this edge alone. The edge you're standing at, it's sacred ground. Not everyone gets called to their edge. Not everyone has the courage to stay there long enough to grow wings. But you're here, you're ready. And something in you has always known. This isn't the ending of your story. This is where your real story begins. The leap is already happening. All you have to do is let go.